We're going to move on to today's topic,
great
and
entertainment,
we're
that's
really here to talk to Mr. Sam Greenlee, a writer, producer, community activist. His movie, the Spook Who Sat at the Door, I watched it again last night. It's just outstanding to me.
It's outstanding.
It's a classic. And I want people to call in and ask any kind of questions and comments at 773-928-9230.
Man, I wish we had read the book. I apologize. I didn't get a chance to read the book, but I did see the movie. I saw the movie several years ago, and I do want to commend you for doing such an outstanding job with the movie. But I do want to ask you a question about the book, because you wrote the book in 1966, if I'm not correct.
Right.
And now, when you wrote the book in 1966, I mean, truly you were ahead of your time in thinking like this. So what was perhaps maybe the inspiration even behind the book?
Well, I had spent the better part of a decade in post-colonial countries.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Iraq when the Anglo-American puppet government was overthrown. And that's the theme of my second novel, Baghdad Blues. And after that, I was in Bangladesh and Sukarno, Indonesia. So I was rubbing shoulders with actual soldiers of that revolution, which was global, and we were part of it. We were part of it. What a lot of people don't want to recognize is how much we inspired Africans and Asians with our civil rights movement. And I was in Ghana 10 years ago, and shortly after I arrived, there was a Pan-African Literary Conference. So I went down the first day, and after the opening ceremonies, they asked if anybody had anything to say. So I got up and introduced myself as Sam Greenlee, author of The Spook. I couldn't even finish a sentence, man. I got a standing ovation.
Are you serious? Wow. Yeah. In Asia?
No, this was in Ghana.
Oh, in Ghana?
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Wow. So they had heard of the book, and apparently either that or the movie itself. And, of course, the book was an inspiration throughout the entire country. But then
across the world.
Yeah. Well, but then out of the book came the movie. Now, how did that happen? How did they approach you, or were you trying to shop it as a movie?
It wasn't no they. I formed
Right. Tell them how you did it, son. Tell that young boy.
I formed a partnership with Ivan Dixon,
Okay.
who wanted to end his acting career and become a director. And he had directed one feature prior to Spook. Ivan wanted studio backing. I didn't. I said, well, go ahead. I knew damn well they weren't going to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
So while he was shopping at the book and the script, I had already finished the script by that time.
This is what, in 1971, 72, something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, because the movie came out in 73.
Right.
All right, okay.
And while he was shopping it, I got in touch with a young man I had known from the University of Chicago who was a top-flight economic consultant and was an advisor to King's movement, white liberal Jew. And he wrote up a limited partnership agreement, and I wrote the introduction to it. Now, a limited partnership agreement is that the partners are limited to offering funds, but they have no input in terms of the script.
The actual making of the movie.
Right.
Okay.
So we began raising funds from predominantly independent black investors. Our shares were $25,000 each. But what we did is when we found people who didn't have $25,000, maybe two of them had 10, another had 5, we put them together in one share.
Okay.
And it wasn't until the last 2 weeks of shooting when we ran out of money and had to close down. And the reason we had to close down is that there was a consortium of black investors in Washington, D.C., and they were going to invest, and one of them said, look, we need to check out Sam Greenlee. He's from Chicago. I'll call Jesse Jackson. And Jesse told them that they should not invest in the movie.
Jesse?
Jesse Jackson.
Thought the movie was too radical or what?
I don't know if he was following orders or he just the fact that we don't like one another.
Probably was following orders, too.
Well, I mean, the book is.
I wouldn't make that accusation unless I had actual evidence.
That's true.
You know, I could speculate, but if I don't have any real evidence, I'm not going to smear a brother just because I don't like him.
Right, absolutely. But, yeah, I guess the extraction of the truth is that you didn't find the investors that you thought you were going to find in Chicago, or was it that you were finding?
I never got a dime out of Chicago.
Okay.
Surprise.
I noticed you didn't film anything in Chicago, did you?
Yeah, we stole some shots.
Oh,
Yeah, we couldn't get the permits to shoot in Chicago, so we went over to Gary under Mayor Hatcher. Okay. But there is a shot of the mayor's office being blown up. We got that one night with a handheld camera. And then there's a shot of
Chicago Signs with Richard Daley. The L.
Right.
Now
and there's a shot
on
a 63rd Cottage.
Right.
Yeah.
About a half a dozen shots. We just came in with a handheld camera and shot them.
And what style of theater they call it? Guerrilla something like that?
It was guerrilla cinema.
Guerrilla cinema?
About a guerrilla army. Full circle.
Absolutely.
Mr. Greenlee, I have a question. First of all, I really commend you again for writing this movie. But I'm curious, if you were to write this movie today, considering some of the recent issues around the Republicans and their attack with Obama, and it being underneath the auspices that it's not racial. I mean, how would you write this movie today, considering the racial climate that's going on now?
I wouldn't and I couldn't. The idea that the street gangs, who are now dope-dealing thugs, would start a revolution is a historical absurdity. Now, when I wrote it, the gangs had political consciousness.
Gotcha.
Okay?
That's true.
For instance, when the West Side got burned down in the aftermath of King's death, the Panthers and the P-Stones and the Gangster Disciples kept things cool on the South Side. Okay. They offered themselves as protectors of the demonstrators. They're among the demonstrators in a march to Marquette, which is why it wasn't as deadly as it might have been. But today, they just dope-dealing thugs.
Yeah.
So it will be sci-fi.
How did the people support the movie, like on the street level? What was the people's response to the movie?